Hey there friends, happy Sunday to you all. We talked a little bit yesterday afternoon about the Fargo shooting, a lot of question marks in the Fargo shooting. As this was taking place, a shooting was also happening down in Georgia. A manhunt is underway after a deadly mass shooting in Georgia on Saturday. Police are searching for a man they say gunned down 4 people in a suburb just outside of Atlanta. All 4 people died. There were 4 different shooting scenes within close proximity. Police said the man fatally shot the victims as he was driving away from the Dogwood Lake subdivision in the city of Hampton. Police have identified 40-year-old Andre Longmore as the suspect in this search. They said he was last seen in a 2017 black GMC Acadia SUV with Georgia tags. Longmore is wanted on 4 counts of murder. Now honestly guys, this sounds like a mental case to me. It doesn't sound like this is one of your normal rampage killings where somebody, again, came from a bad home, was bullied, was over-medicated. None of that sounds like this. This certainly doesn't sound like your typical conflict shooting because he was randomly shooting at people. And of course it doesn't seem gang-related, being a conflict shooting that would be. At first I looked at it as potentially being domestic. But they're saying that there doesn't appear to be any connection between this guy and any of the 4 victims that he shot and killed. This sounds like a clear-cut case of somebody who would have normally been, a couple of decades ago, in a mental institution. They say that he was just walking down the street shooting randomly at people, didn't have connections to them. They claim that they don't find even a phone listed that's connected to this guy. Now, of course, he could have a burner phone, but very unusual that anybody in today's day and time, especially with the federal government giving all the free stuff out, that this guy would not have a cell phone, landline phone, some kind of form of communication via a phone tied to him somehow. Very odd. Not saying that that makes him crazy, just saying it's very unusual in today's day and time. Most of you are probably watching this video on your own phones. Now, one thing that kind of worries me about this, and you know how the media does, and you know how the wackos on the far left always take these types of situations and twist them to aim at somebody. In other words, let's find another reason to take a right away from somebody. They mentioned that after he shot somebody, quote, when he realized the shot was good, he took the weapon, checked it for a minute, put it in his holster. The guy was holstered. He was holstering his weapon, carrying his weapon that way, and put it back in the holster. This is not a stretch to say that this is going to be used as an attack on, oh, this is prototypical concealed carry guys or open carry guys. They're going to somehow tie this to you and I as honest law-abiding gun owners. But because this guy happened to holster a weapon, he's going to be there. Finding that small little thing is what they're going to look for to tie him to us. Oh, do you holster guns? Oh, well, you must be just as crazy as this guy, and maybe you can't be trusted now to have a gun. Look for an attack on open carry, concealed carry, carry of any kind by honest law-abiding gun owners in the state of Georgia. Now, they're making the point for me that I always make that these shootings are different. Why? Because you guys that always want to make this about race, let's recognize the race of this guy. He's black, right? I'm not saying that this is a conflict shooting, and I'm not saying that it's a gang shooting. But guess what? They are looking for him. They don't look for gang shootings. They don't look for conflict shooters. They do, to the certain degree of if you run across them, pick them up. But there's no manhunt when there's a gang shooting. When somebody shoots each other at a party at 2 a.m. on a street, nobody's looking for that shooter the next morning. There ain't no manhunt out there. Nobody is combing the neighborhoods or the fields and the trees and the forests and all that to try to find anybody. They are in this case. Because this appears to be an unhinged individual who's just trying to kill people. Totally different type of shooting. And again, I have to tell you, that matters. Because if you are honest about trying to stop any kind of shooting out there, you have to recognize the type of shooting in order to be able to identify the root cause of that. If you are approaching a gang shooting the same as Longmore right here, you will never solve one of them. If you're right about solving one of them, it will not solve the other. So you have to approach them differently. This is a perfect example. In fact, it is a perfect example to put up against what they're also calling that mass shooting yesterday in Fargo, which is really sketchy. That looks like it's a terrorist attack. Totally different circumstance. If you're trying to end a terrorist attack and some guy who's mentally unstable just shooting at people the same way, you're not going to solve one of them. Again, if you're spot on solving one of them, the other one can't be solved the same way. So very, very strange news weekend, I guess you could say. Harking back to the Fargo thing, no more information on that. No more information on that. We talked about it yesterday. Go look at my video. It was actually an hour-long live video coverage of the press conference and everything from Fargo yesterday, which told us almost absolutely nothing. I mean, really, it was a pretty useless press conference. I would have rather them just put out the 1 or 2 bullet points that they had. The only news we got, the guy's name was Mohammed Barakat or something like that. That's pretty much all we got. And the guy was not part of the accident. In this particular case, they do have some information now. They still haven't talked about the gun that he shot, but they did mention that the gun in this case in Georgia, Mr. Longmore, that particular gun is a silver-ish gun. Sounds like either a revolver or an older style like a Bersa or a PPQ or something like that. One of those types of guns is probably what, or PPK. That's probably what it is, you know, an old nickel-plated gun or something like that. But I mean, shot 4 people, killed all 4 of them. Don't know the range or anything like that. Sounds like the guy was walking down the street and just indiscriminately shooting at people. One was an older white man in a white car that he just shot at. Killed him as he was driving. So, yeah, very unusual. More details on both of these, the Fargo shooting and this Georgia shooting, as they come out. Again, this guy is still on the loose in Georgia. So that's why I'm using his name, and that's why I'm showing his picture, because this guy's on the loose. There's a $10,000 reward out for him. Apparently, he is very dangerous. Again, shot and killed the 4 people he shot. And this is the vehicle that he was last seen in as well. So please keep an eye out and be careful. If you're in even accompanying states, keep an eye out for this guy, because obviously he's on the run. Sounds like he disappeared in the woods near the neighborhood that he was in, but obviously he was last seen in that particular vehicle. So guys, keep an eye out. Have a safe weekend, folks.
God save the Queen, man.
I'm sorry, I thought this was America.
He's so horrible.